Good morning, Zio here, and today we will be going into the second causes of action. That is how far we are. I think this is part 5 of going through this document. Yeah, it's been long and a lot of reading, so grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? And I am practically out of coffee at this point. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we're going to get straight into it. This is the second cause of action. Of course, if you don't know, I stream over on the Facebook, so follow the link down below in the Tap My Bio somewhere. Or, if it's not posted, follow me somehow. Anyway, links, of course, listed right there. You can just type it in. It's pretty easy. It's all Zio Gaming TGT or Zio Gaming or some variant of it because of, various things. So, actually, now that I think about it, I think all my things are actually just Zio Gaming TGT. Okay, that's where we're going because it wouldn't let me use Zio Gaming for some reason. So we're going to get into the second causes of action here of the employment discrimination because of sexual promotion. Wait, what? Anyway, so again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not speaking on anything's behalf. I'm just a gamer who likes to look at the news and take a look at things, and Activision Blizzard has stepped in it big this time, so I'm giving my honest opinion as things as we go through it bit by bit, so you can get my honest my opinion on it as things go. And of course, my opinion will probably change based on various different factors from evidence and other stuff coming out throughout this entire thing. So let's get into it, shall we? The DEFH incorporated in regards to all previous allegations as it is set or fully set forth herein. Government Code Section 12940 Subdivision A states that it is unlawful employment practices for an employer to discriminate against a person in compensation or in terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of the person's sex. Defendant discrimination against women by denying them promotional opportunities because of sex in violation of Government Code 12940 Subdivision A. Defendants intentionally discriminate against women in promotion and advancement opportunities. For example, defendants assigned women to lower pay and lower opportunity levels and roles, delaying their case or career advancement, denying them personal opportunity or promotional opportunities. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. We also know I'm a yawner, so I yawn all the time, no matter what time of day it is. Opportunities afforded to their male counterparts in refusing to promote women because they might get pregnant, even when women perform higher levels work for extended period of time. And we did touch on that for a second, like how bad that is. But at the same time, it's a hard thing to justify or to really go about. It's a really touchy subject and all this other stuff, but having somebody who leaves the workforce for a certain amount of time, the fact that the companies still haven't figured out a way to actually balance it all out, so it's not like somebody has now got all their responsibilities dumped on them plus their own responsibilities and yada yada yada. And we talked about this in regards to an anecdote where somebody has technically actually done something similar to this, except for they were using medical leave as their way of getting out of it because of an injury that they sustained at work, or supposedly sustained at work, I'm not sure which, and they abused the system in order to do that. And companies just don't have any, they for whatever reason, they haven't had the foresight to figure out a way to fix that, right? To move somebody temporarily into a position, let that person know full well that you're temporary here, right? And when so-and-so gets back, you will move back to your previous spot and do some shuffling that way, and which needs to be done, right? And there should definitely be something in place for somebody who does get pregnant or whatnot, needs to take that maternity leave for somebody to cover for them, but also not be expected to perform all their other duties at the same time along with it, because that's bad. Anyway, defendants' policies, practices, and other procedures have resulted in unlawful, despite disparity, impact, discrimination against women with respects to promotion opportunities, among other practices. Defendants' quota system, lack of application processes for promotional opportunities, as well as its informal and opaque decision-making process, results in female employees being promoted at slower rates than their male counterparts. Again, we have to see some evidence to back that up, some data to back that up, because quite frankly, this idea that people constantly are getting promoted seems really weird to me. I've never seen it before in my life. Maybe it's just a different thing out there when it comes to corporations like this. People are rotating in and out constantly or something. But anyway, as a result of defendants' unlawful employment practices, female employees suffer and continue to suffer, included but not limited to lost earnings, lost benefits, lost future employment opportunities, and other financial loss, as well as non-economical damages. Pretty sure we've heard that in the above part too, like that exact same statement. Maybe legally they have to put this in double spots. I don't know. Defendants' actions demonstrate that they will continue to engage in the pattern or practices of unlawful employment discrimination and lawful despite impact discrimination prohibited by the FEHA, unless they are enjoined pursuant to the political power granted by the government code sections 12920 and 1. Can I just stop reading these codes because they're the same codes every time? That's a mouthful. Anyway, we know what they've said there, right? Defendants' actions will willfully, maliciously, fraudulent, and oppress were committed within the wrongful intent of injuring female employees and conscious disregard for their rights. Pretty sure we talked about that too, or we read that too. I feel like some of these things are just being copied and pasted with a few words changed. Unless defendants are enjoined pursuant to, we just read that. Is that really necessary to essentially just keep repeating that over and over again? By reason of the continuous nature of defendants' unlawful conduct, the continuing violations doctrine is applicable to all violators alleged herein. Plaintiff DEFH requests relief as described herein. And that, I think that actually does have to be put after every cause of action. But it feels like it's a bit much. I think... I don't know, just it's real weird how some of these legal things have to be written. Anyway, this is the third cause of action, employment discrimination based on sex termination. So I assume we're just going to repeat everything again. Incorporates blah blah blah, government code section subdivision, unlawful practice of employment to discriminate against persons. Defendants discriminate against women by terminating their employment because of sex in violation of government code section 12940 subdivision A. That's a new one. Defendants intentionally discriminate against women in termination, defendants policies, practices, and that's all going to be essentially the same thing, right? As we've been looking, it's just, maybe that's it, right? It's just a different thing, but it's essentially the same thing, right? So this one's for termination. This one is for, discrimination against promotions, and this one I think is for pay, right? Is that where we're getting at? Because of sex, compensation. So yeah, that one's for pay. Same thing, same thing. It's just a different thing, right? So third cause is for termination. And let's go on to the fourth cause of action, employment discrimination based on sex, constructive discharge. The fudge is constructive discharge. Isn't that the same thing as getting fired, but I guess constructively? Anyway, defendants consecutively discharge women in violation of code, for example, in denying women's promotions, assignments, and compensation of their male counterparts, subjecting them to sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. Okay, yeah, those are different words. Defendants effectively force female employees to leave their employment with defendant. That's right. Make it really bad for them until they want to leave. That's what this section's about. Female employee accepts less compensation than they were making in their prior employment or offered by other companies to work with defendants as defendants promise to make up the pay difference with future promotions and increased compensation. That is something we've talked about before. It's a Blizzard thing. It happens to everybody, including the males. Given defendants promised female employees came to work for defendants only to realize that their promises were empty, which happens with most companies to everybody, and watched as male counterparts were promoted more quickly and offered compensation, forcing them to leave the company, which of course is another thing that we need to see some data on to actually see how that breakdown of data to see how that actually played out, if that was actually true or not. But yeah, anyway, defendants intentionally discriminate against women regarding constructive discharge, defendants' policies, practices. Okay, then we're going to get into the repeats, of course, of all this. Fifth cause of action. Oh gosh, my stomach is growling now. I should eat. Employment discrimination based on sex harassment. This is the part about all the harassment, which is very, very bad. Definitely from what was described in the above, we should be setting some pitchforks. I'll build the bonfire if we want to get a few stakes and burn some people. I'm totally okay with that. Especially if this stuff is found out to be true. But yeah, defendant female employees were routinely subjected to unwatchable sexual advancements and harassing conduct to severe, to pervasive that it created a hostile work environment. And we also, of course, talked about, the whole asking out somebody isn't what you would call harassment, but the groping and stuff definitely is. Touching somebody unwantedly in other parts shouldn't be done regardless of whether they're male or female. You definitely need to not do that. The harassment was perpetrated by defendants' supervisors and or defendants knew or shouldn't have known of the conduct and failed to take immediate action. I do not like that word at all. I really hate this right here, where you just you assume that so-and-so should have known of the conduct. Now, again, not defending Blizzard in any way for the most part with these things, talking about this, but this right here, really hate that, because should have known of the conduct doesn't necessarily mean that they actually knew about it. I mean, things could happen and people not know about it because they're busy doing other things and nobody's actually brought it up to them or something. It happens a lot. You can't just assume somebody should know somebody. It's like telling me that I should know that somebody else did a thing, right? And I've never seen their content in my life to know that they've done the thing or whatnot. It happens. Gosh, what's a good example of that? It's like, anyway, I don't know of any. As a result of defendants' unlawful employment practices, female employees suffered and continue to suffer harm, including but not limited to emotional pain, humiliation, embarrassment, belittling, sadness, mental anguish in the amount to be determined at trial. Which of course is another thing that's really hard to figure out, but it's going to be interesting to see how this works. Defendants' actions were willfully, maliciously fraudulent and oppressed. Defendants engaged in and by. Okay, that's redoing that again. Sixth cause of action is retaliation, which is a big no-no. You should not have, your employer cannot retaliate. That's very touchy. Anyway, government code section states that any employer, labor organization, employee agencies, or person to discharge, expel, or otherwise discriminate against any person because the person has opposed any practices forbidden under this part, or because the person has filed a complaint, testified, or assessed in any proceeding under this part, after female employees engaged in protected activities such as complaining to human resources, and we talked about human resources at some point and how horrible they are and what their real job is. Anyway, in my opinion, defendants took adverse employees actions against female employees, such as advising employees actions including but not limited to denial of professional opportunities, negative performance reviews, forced transfers to less favorable units, constructive termination, and selection for reduction in labor or in forces / layoffs, likely based on discrimination criteria applied to formal and or informal evaluations of performance. As a result, defendants unlawfully employment practices, aggrieved female employees suffered and continue to suffer lost earnings, lost benefits, loss of future employment opportunities, yada yada. We've read all that, right? Yeah, definitely bad juju. Anyway, the seventh cause of action: failure to prevent discrimination and harassment on behalf of group. This, of course, is going to be talking about them failing to take any responsible steps necessary to prevent the discrimination and harassment from occurring, which we did read a lot about in the above sections, where management and other people over knew about it, or they themselves participated in it, and nothing was done, because apparently J. Allen Brack's idea of punishment for somebody who apparently is very known and openly doing this at BlizzCon of all things, among other things in the company, is just to say don't do it again and slap them on the wrist and let them leave on their own in 2020 instead of getting rid of them. Yeah, I think I would probably be letting somebody go by that point, but that's just me. As a further result of unlawful employment practices. Okay. Let's go down. Eighth cause of action. We have an eighth cause of action. We are almost near the end of this document. I think we're going to end this here. We're going to go through the eighth cause of action real quick in the next one, and then just talk about initial thoughts on this. So let me know what you think, everything down below. Don't forget to follow the links and come join me elsewhere, and I will see you in the next one.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.